you guys, it's me, Dr. Torie. My book is officially out. And yes, it is time to talk about ACEs. You guys can find the books everywhere. However, I would encourage you guys to go to my website, Be VicTORIEus.com, and place your order today. Yes, it's time to talk about ACEs. Let's go, y'all.
Hello, 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 you guys. Welcome to another episode of, y'all know what it is. It's Be Victorious. We have an amazing guest, you guys. Let me tell you. I've been knowing this young man for a very, very long time. When I mean a long time, we're going to let 98, 99 have this conversation. Let's be clear. That's number one. Number two, when I mean podcasting, when I mean conversation, when I mean experiences, you really want to talk to a grown man because when you talk to men will provide what they need to give you what you need in order to answer whatever questions. And you need to check out this podcast, y'all. It's Growing Man. And when I tell you it is a great podcast, do y'all know it's about 1,000 videos out there? So when you have questions, concerns, real life discussions, and conversations, these are the people that you need to talk to and get in contact with on podcasting because the information is out there. But I think what I really love as a family woman is the fact that there's a podcast for family. If you're going to podcast, include your family. And this is what I love about doing too much. I have met his wonderful wife through social media, through podcasting. I can't wait to meet her in person. The fact that they have a podcast where they have that conversation about everyday conversations. They've been doing this, you guys, for a while. So to have this young man here, one of my brothers, is humbling. And John, Mr. 99, that's what I call him. Where are you?
Hey, hey.
There he goes. What's up, 99?
How you doing, young lady?
Oh, I'm a young lady, of course. You already know. I am wonderful and blessed to have you on my podcast. We've had this conversation for a while, and I want to share with my audience, honestly, when we talked about podcasting, you were very inspiring. You already have been out here since 2008.
No, wait, no. So I wish. No, actually, I was introduced to podcasting in 2020. I did that YouTube channel was just created because that's when I actually started. I
Did it.
signed up. So yeah,
Okay.
no, I've been podcasting since 2020.
So we actually really did start podcasting around the same time.
Absolutely.
Because I remember we started having a conversation about our passions and what we wanted to do. And I'll be honest, here it is 5 years later, and you are doing it.
I appreciate that. I'm trying. I'm trying to get better every day.
And you have, I love the podcast. Now you have several podcasts, and people have to understand and know it's okay. You can have more than one podcast, but I like how your podcast intertwines, if that makes sense,
For
because you
sure.
have a few of them. Would you like to just share with us a little bit about Grown Man first, and then we can go into details about your next podcast?
Definitely. I'm growing man. It's a play on words. It's spelled grown man, but the N is big. I'm
Right.
a math guy, so the N is like exponential. So it's so much room for growth. So it's called I'm Growing Man. So I'm just using my past experiences to present information where it's easy to digest for people that don't have any guidance. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I grew up in an environment where I only knew two people that had college degrees, and I met them in high school. And that was because it was a friend of mine on the basketball team, his parents.
Mhm.
So I was not exposed to any type of education other than my father telling me, if I die today, what are you supposed to do? He said, I'm supposed to go to college, get a degree, and get a good job. So in my head, that's the maximum exposure I have to college, other than what I may see on TV. So I was just thinking about in 2020 when I was first introduced to this, I started a journey to kind of unlayer why my life was where it was.
Mhm.
Now I do want to kind of give a little background.
Of
Uh,
course.
in 2020, I was separated from my family. I was living in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. that's in the Middle East, about an hour from Dubai. And I was separated and nothing was wrong other than I was financially ignorant. And when I say financially ignorant, I was in another country making the most money that I've ever made, traveling with my family. My wife wasn't working. My kids are going to international school, cost more than my undergraduate institution. And in my head, I'm like, I'm living really well. We're in this 3,500 square foot flat that has windows to the ceiling on the beach. And when I tell you, like, the experiences by far are something that words probably won't justify, but I'm gonna do my best. But I just wanted to kind of present where I was as a man. I wasn't happy, and I was an assistant principal, and I just couldn't figure out why I wasn't happy. And then I lose my family. And when I say I lost my family, is because they changed the contracts and we couldn't figure out what we were going to do. And my wife was like, it's probably time for us to transition back to the United States. And we kind of agreed, but I couldn't go back because I had a contract and I had to fulfill it because we wanted an opportunity to still come back. So I was away from them for a year and a half. And in that year and a half, probably in the first month, I experienced, I guess, a loneliness I had never experienced before in my life. Honestly, this was the first time I lived by myself outside of like 2 weeks because I lived with my family. I got a college roommate. I had a roommate. And then me and my wife, well, we were cohabitating, raising our daughter. And then I got married. So I was never, ever by myself to have any type of reflection on how I got anywhere. I was just kind of just moving through life. So when my family left after that month, I just remember yelling out like, why are y'all so quiet back there? Nobody's in this house but me. And I got quiet and I just was like, how did I lose my family? And I started to cry because I was like, men lose their families all the time and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. How did I lose my family? So I realized I lost my family because I was financially ignorant. I thought I was going to be able to make that money and do that for the rest of my life, at least for long enough for me to figure it out. I was putting money away, but I wasn't putting enough for a rainy day where my family and I would ever be separated. So I'm going through like a mini depression. I've never experienced this before. And while I'm going through it, I got a friend that says, hey, man, you might be depressed. Now, mind you, man, that's crazy. I'm actually happy. In my head, I am super happy. But I wasn't because I was away from my family and I didn't realize how instrumental they were until they were gone. And I want you to understand this part. This is probably the main reason why I'm Growing Man exists.
Right.
So when I'm in there, I'm in this apartment and I'm feeling like, oh my God, I lost my family. Like I really lost them. Like we have intentions on coming back together. I'm just filling my contract out, but I'm without my family. And I was like, it was like a heartbreak that I've never experienced in life. And I was just like, I thought I was doing the right things by leading my family, and I don't even know what I'm doing. So when I felt this pain, I said, this is what men must feel when they lose their family and they can't get them back.
Right.
Like I know a lot of people think men just move on, but you can't just move on because if you're responsible for something, there's a part of an accountability within you that probably has not been said out loud. And it was like, I don't want another man to feel like I felt. So I was like, I need to push a message that was different from the one that led me to this one.
Right.
So when I looked at how financially ignorant I was like, what else am I messing up on? So I started to like really dissect myself. And I noticed, like, I'll just give you an example. I remember my wife used to say, you're too important to be drinking and driving.
Mm.
And I used to be as arrogant as saying I drive better when I'm under the influence. Like I used to say things like this. I used to convince people. I don't know what I was doing, but I was living reckless. And then this kind of made me realize my wife, if it wasn't for her having the patience and the grace for me to mature, I would have been another example of a man who lost what everybody thought was a beautiful thing.
Mm.
And being that I did lose them without losing them, I started to evaluate my time. Like, what am I doing with my time? Why am I not getting money? Like real money? Like, why am I not holding something? And I just started to unlayer my life. And I was like, I've cheated my way to this point. I got all the way to Abu Dhabi with my family because I had some degrees, some experience. I was Black and I knew how to work well with others. But I wasn't able to get to the next level. I wasn't as polished and I was just beat myself up. Like, people say you shouldn't beat yourself up. And I'm like, well, if I'm not going to do it, nobody else was doing it up until this point. I need to do something to put myself in a position where I can be as important as I believe I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized my routine was so simple. And then I started this is the benefit of being a Q,
Mm-hmm.
living in multiple states and now countries, being a Mason, going to Michigan State, going to University of Central Florida. And I'm just naming these things out so you can see what type of groups I'm in, where I can see the different conversations that I'm having that are aligned with what men think. And like a lot of men, sometimes men get mad at me because they think I be beating us up. And I don't mean to. I just want them, I don't want them to feel like I felt.
Right.
Because I've never met a man who cheated on his wife to ruin the family. But it happens on an everyday basis. And when I decided to do I'm Growing, man, I was like, what can I do to make it easier for men to mature into the man I'm trying to become?
Right.
Because I was like, I've never met a man that said, I want to remain immature my whole life. And they ruin everything. And then, what a lot of men don't know, that they become different people. And what's the worst part about this? Men die early, in my opinion, because they realized that their family was able to prosper without their day-to-day interaction. They were not as important as they thought they were. Like, I don't believe in co-parenting in different households.
That's another conversation.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm telling you why I'm Growing Man came. Because I didn't know that my wife had me on a 6-month time clock. Like, she was gonna leave me. And I didn't even know it until after I had showed her that I was a different person. But I just kept thinking about like me raising my kids in 2 different households because I didn't mature. My wife wanted this thing that I could not create because I did not come from it. I came from a broken household. My mother left my father. So my father raised us. I had a very skewed view on how life was supposed to be. So for me to be there, I was like, I have to somehow figure out how to become better. And that's when I said, I'm going to work on communication. I was like, if I could communicate effectively, maybe people won't misunderstand me, and including my wife. And, I used to tell her, I was like, you married me. You already know how I am. Like, why would I change? This is who I am. And in my head, I'm thinking like, why is she trying to change me? This is who I am. And I'm like, I should have been thinking like, I could be changing for the better. And I'm thinking like, she's trying to change me for the worse, but it wasn't even for the worse. It was just, I was afraid of being uncomfortable because I was very comfortable in my skin, even though it was not the best version of myself. So that is the reason why I'm Growing Man came in, because I wanted to be a voice where men could be like, man, he makes sense. Like, yeah, like, because at the end of the day, you want to be like, dang, why didn't I think of that? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Not like I'm gonna do it my way, and then you mess up, and then it's like you got a whole generation of kids that have to go through the trauma of your ignorance as an adult. And where I am now, I was like, I refuse to make any perpetuant mistakes, and I know the outcome from it. Just because you haven't got caught does not mean that it's not creating this fear of invincibility. Like you can keep getting away with it. Because when you do that, you impact so many people around you from your decision making, but you don't know how important you are until you blow it up.
That's
And
it.
then people got to adjust and move on. And I refuse for me to move forward without being a better example for anybody who's watching me, because I was not the best example. I lived a life that probably a lot of men wanted to live. And when I say that, I mean like take your family here. Like my wife kept my family together. Like I thought because I can go, we're doing these things. She never asked for that, but I felt like I could do what I wanted for the most part. Not saying directly I could do what I wanted, but I was like, I mean, like, what other man is doing this for their family? And this is what I'm thinking. So the blessing of not being able to like blow up this beautiful thing that I have today is the motivation for me to make sure that I can create more of a perspective for men to say, that's what I want to do. I want to end up like that when I'm almost 50. You know, like, because a lot of my friends are going through divorces, already been divorced, 2 or 3 marriages, single. That single life is cold out there for men, and especially at my age. Because all the women, I told my wife, all the women want to be where you are, but all the men don't know how I feel for them to feel like this is probably where they should head toward.
Yep.
So that is the main. I'm sorry for that was so
No,
long.
no. And I love it. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because you're here because you're a cycle breaker. That's why you're here. We're already doing the cycle breaker series. See, I need to bring powerful people like you here so people can understand, number one, they're not alone in their journey. There's a lot of people that have been through what you've been through. However, we're here because we don't want people to experience that no more. And let me connect it because when we did meet, we met in 2000 and we met and we were both, I was going through a divorce. You were separated. It makes sense to me why we're here now because that's how I met the growing man. I met you when you were a growing. You were going in through your situation. I remember the whole conversation. I remember everything. And this is something that we wanted to do. We wanted to implement change. I also introduced you guys to adverse childhood experiences because the things that you just discussed, racist. That's what it is. And the problem is we don't know about it because we normalize it. So everything that you just talked about is what we do in our communities. We normalize separation, co-parenting, that type of thing. Not to say that there's anything wrong with it, you guys, but under the ACEs categories, household dysfunction is what that is. But what you did as you grew, and what I love about you so much is that you humbled yourself and admitted it. Like, listen, this is what happened. So you didn't do anything but just tell your story. Congratulations. That's what we encourage on our podcast. We want people to understand that you're not alone in your journey, especially after you understand ACEs, but you are really a cycle breaker because that's where doing too much comes from. So let's be clear, you guys. Wake up, wake up, wake up. We're cycle breakers. That's our connection. Yeah, that's my brother. Yeah, he a Q. Yeah, he representing, but we representing cycle breaking right now. Let's be clear because we don't want people to go through what we went through. We don't. I'm still single, let's be clear. Now, before Sure. But when I had my kid changed my life. But I will say, with understanding unresolved childhood trauma, that's what led me to who I am. So I understand your story and I get it. And I just want people to understand that you are not alone in your journey. And once you understand what your journey is and how much it means to you, that's when they become a person like you. So I got to give you your props and let you know that I appreciate it, because at the end of the day, that's the reason why we're here. This safe space is for you to share your story. So thank you.
You're more than welcome. I do want to say, I believe every generation is a cycle breaker. Uh,
Mhm.
Now, it just depends on how much they want to break the cycle, though. And they have to actually know that they're in the cycle, because I told my wife, I was like, I'm doing way better than my father. Like, I've graduated from college, I have multiple degrees, we have a house, we're together. Like, in my head, I'm already doing way better than my father. So I didn't have to do much more. What
Right.
really broke it down was my father was the lowest bar I could ever think about for the idea that for me to break the ceiling. Me being born broke the ceiling.
Mhm.
My job is to raise the ceiling so my kids would want the motivation to continue to raise it.
Mhm.
Because when you break something, it means it's broken.
Yep.
So I just want to make sure that whatever I'm raising up, I want to show my kids that there's a process in getting better. And my parents, I think that they were just trying to provide a better life than them. That's not me and my wife's job anymore. Our job is to give them better information so that when we're no longer here, they don't need us.
Ooh.
When my father died or my mother's still here, in my mind, educationally and experience wise, I've already passed them up.
Yep.
So they didn't give me the information I needed to be able to go if they did die.
Yep.
So breaking the ceiling is however intentional you want to do it. But if you don't do it on purpose, you're hoping for a miracle to happen, but you have to do it on purpose to break anything.
Come on. Come on. It's the truth. And that's why he's here, you guys, because we need this awareness out here. You guys, we are not alone in this journey. You just need to know who you are, understand your power and your purpose. That's why we are here. Now, you talk about your wife so much, and that is an amazing thing. I have heard about her so much. I'm looking forward to meeting her because I've been through the transition. Let's be clear. And she is a force. So I thank you. I love y'all podcast together. I do. Please tell us about doing too much.
So it's pronounced it's doing too much, but it's spelled D.E.W. Their initials, it stands for does everything well. That's her nickname. When I was in college, I used to call her Honeydew. And as we matured in our relationship, I just started calling her Do. And I just thought that like her life, the things that she puts effort in, she does everything well. Like whether it's parenting, being a wife, uh, any job she's done, she's always excelled. So her nickname was Do, and then my entire life was John is always too much. He's always extra. So I combined her nickname and what I always heard throughout my life was doing too much. So it was a play on us with us doing a whole lot. And I just thought about this recently because I do want to say our podcast did come to an end. Yeah, because she doesn't really want to be in the public view. She feels like she doesn't want to be judged for making any mistakes or anything like that. Now, when we originally started, we wanted to be a voice to help young people that were thinking about relationships to be able to have a better perspective on approaching it.
Right.
Because we had determined that if we were mature, we would have never even entertained each other.
Mm.
You know, we kind of grew into these people, and I'm blessed. I want to say, like, she
Yeah.
is the only person that I ever wanted to be with as a family, like, period.
Right.
And but I robbed her of that because she didn't, her ACEs test was kind of bad too. So she couldn't recognize the riffraff I was.
Mhm.
And when I say riffraff, I meant like I reminded her of her father in ways that attracted her.
Right.
And this is, man, I'm saying this, the podcast was wonderful because we did learn so much more. But learning the person I was that attracted her, it was kind of like she wanted the best of both worlds. She wanted this guy who was arrogant, got this ego, and people generally attracts to him, but she didn't want all the stuff that came with this person. And I was bigger than life throughout my life. I was like, oh, I wanted to be seen, and I was willing to do whatever to be seen, whether it's throwing people under the bus, making fun of people, whatever. I wanted everybody to have a good time, but I wanted to be the orchestrator of it all. So when we decided to do the podcast, it was like she told me in the last year or so, she was like, I never thought we would have lasted this long doing the podcast because I didn't think you were that serious. But she told me that she wanted to end it because she hates being judged.
Yeah.
And she was like, people are judging me for being a parent of an 18 and a 16-year-old. This is my first time. So I'm sharing my experience, not for you guys to tell me what I did wrong, but so that you understand the result. So she didn't even look at the comments. It was me telling her or other people saying it. I was like, I want you to know, like, it's okay because at least people are talking about it.
Exactly.
And that's all we wanted, but it was hurting. It was bothering her too much. And we decided to stop it. Like the last one was on our anniversary. It was the 52 episodes we did one a week for 4 years.
Right.
And on our anniversary, we did our last one. But overall, it wasn't the end because the conversations are timeless. It wasn't like we were talking about whatever was happening today. It was like as parenting, as partners, a relationship, like why people fail in the beginning. Like it's timeless information. So we're not really worried about that. But it started out just because we wanted to be a voice of reason for people that were interested in trying to create a beautiful thing with somebody.
Right.
And what we learned though is that most people don't know how to approach a relationship. They're willing to pass red flags to change a behavior after they get them.
Yep. I'm one of those people.
Well, and it's not your fault, but it's your fault if you remain that person. That's not healthy for anybody. And the only reason why you were like that is because of whatever behaviors you may have thought was okay, or maybe you couldn't establish boundaries to know what you were willing to tolerate. And if you don't know those things, it's easy to see the good in people who have horrible behaviors.
Exactly. It's called unresolved childhood trauma. I had it. You know what I mean? That's why I said
everybody does.
You know what I mean?
No matter how good your life is, if you have not unlayered your childhood, you have trauma. You're a different person because you haven't unlayered it. Like when you unlayer your trauma, you realize the person you've been protecting the whole time.
Yep. Correct. And so until you unheal,
I'm listening.
Until you unheal, that's what happens. So that's what happened. Like how you said, when you and wife met at college. And then you grew. Y'all grew together, but then that apart is how you understood that you had that depression. You know what I mean? Of course, we're not going to put a name to it because we don't know what it is. And then you started and decided to grow. And here
so I want to say this, like, because I don't want people to get like. I always thought I was growing. Like I'm the most optimistic person I've ever met. Like even before I went on this journey, like I always used to say, make today better than yesterday. And I didn't realize I was just saying those things. I wasn't intentionally trying to make today better than yesterday. I was hoping that something was gonna make it better. And I didn't understand that faith without work is dead. And if you don't intentionally do anything, nothing is supposed to change. Just like the insanity thing, doing the same thing, hoping something's going to change. And to me, she gave me time to mature. Like when I say that, I mean time enough to complement what she's been doing this entire time.
Right.
Because in my head, I used to tell her, I was like, you're not going to find another man better than me. It's impossible, because in my head, I was like, whatever she used to tell me to do, in my head, I was doing it. Like I used to ask her, I used to check in, like, hey, what can I do better? Are you okay? Like I used to do that all the time. And she'll tell you, she's like, he did do that. But I still was not fulfilling something that she needed, because she couldn't even describe it, or I couldn't receive it because I thought I was doing enough.
Right.
So like a lot of times men, we're just ignorant. You know what I'm saying? Like if women knew what a man looked like, they would make less mistakes. And if men knew how to be a man, relationships would develop and go further, or they wouldn't create a relationship with somebody just because they look good or they look good on paper. In order to have an awesome relationship in the beginning is to have as many conversations as possible to determine if you even want to tolerate with this person after you do some adult activities.
Exactly.
A lot of times we really feel like we can change this person, when you can, but they got to be willing to change too. You know what I'm saying?
I'm glad you're speaking on it, because honestly, it's my story. And when I share with people now, this is the reason why I also encourage therapy, because if it wasn't for therapy, that also helped me heal. Also helped me understand. Because for me, and I'm sharing with you, my brother, I'm sharing on my podcast for the first time, that was my situation. Because out in these streets, let's be clear, I was out here, not in a bad way, but out here, I was single, no kids, enjoying life. You know what I mean? Being good. But as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I didn't see nothing but the fact that I was pregnant. I didn't see anything else. Like, oh my God, I didn't even know I could have kids. So then I look at this guy, not to say it like that, but he was just a guy, real talk. And it was like, so well, I don't want you to think that I'm gonna force a kid on you, but I think I was blessed. What you think? And it was like, yeah, I didn't see red flags, green flags, blue flags, nothing. I saw the kid. And then I started taking the steps from there to try to make it work, when I will admit from the beginning, there was nothing but red from the beginning. I wasn't thinking about anything but the kid. And here it is, 18 years later, the kid has graduated. She's a cycle breaker. She's doing her thing. But in that story also came a divorce. And what I don't do, what people may believe, is blame him for everything, when I have to take the accountability of knowing from the beginning there were red flags, red, like blazing. And I couldn't see nothing but, let's make this right and do right for the kid. You know what I mean? My poor baby has been through so much, you know what I mean? Because of the decisions that we both made. So I don't blame the divorce. I don't blame anything. I blame my unresolved childhood trauma, because that's the accountability for being a cycle breaker. I was already a cycle breaker. Let's be clear. I'm with you. I went to college, graduated, did my thing. My parents didn't even graduate from high school. But when it came to making life decisions, here they are seeking opinions and offering opinions. And y'all ain't even make it. Y'all was divorced. Y'all mean like let's be clear. So I understand, trust me, what you're saying. And that's the reason why you're so powerful. You know what I mean? Because your story resonates and it speaks volumes to who you are. Let's be clear. Let's cut the chase. We know what cues,
I really
we
do.
know what cues do. We know what cues do.
I'll say this too. Being a Q,
Hmm.
I needed it. Like how they say, don't let the fraternity make you.
Ooh.
Um, I came from a place where I really in my mind felt like I needed the fraternity to complete me. And
Ooh.
and I'll say that it didn't complete me, but it filled it filled so many parts of me that I didn't get to experience in my youth, of like maybe family, maybe a sense of siblings like trying to correct you or whatnot. But being that I moved so many different places, I just want to say that the benefits of it, because I never realized how much anxiety being in my fraternity took away because I participated so much.
Yep.
Being that I moved so many different places, one thing I didn't have to worry about was finding a friend or a friend group. Like, you're automatically gonna find a group of men that have similar attainments, and then you'll find your group within that group. Like,
Yeah.
if you're not in this and you move, you have to have the audacity to go meet people and like create relationships with strangers. And I feel like that just takes a different type of energy that I never had to use. And I'm grateful because I met some great men in my fraternity, and without it, I won't want to say I wouldn't be half as a man, but I don't think I would have been able to become this man as soon,
Right.
for sure.
Yeah. And see, for me, my respect for my brothers come from that. So I will also share, you guys, when me and my brother met, we met on my brothers helping me out because I had to reach out to my brothers. I was hurt, you know what I mean? And it was like, let me take care of my sister. And they was the one that introduced me to you. So you got to think about it. The words that you're saying speaks volumes. What you're saying holds truth. We didn't let's be clear. Now, I didn't. I love Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Shout out to Zeta Lambda chapter, spring 1998.
Bro.
Hell, let's be clear. However, that I've always been me, just like you've always been you. We let our organizations enhance us, but we didn't let them make us.
For
But that
sure.
also makes us cycle breakers too, because we
Absolutely.
all know that people come into the organization falling for the stereotype. Let's be clear.
Absolutely.
But we didn't do that. We're actually, as of right now, let's be clear, since when we crossed, we make our organizations look good. We have to understand who we are. And that's the reason why we're having this conversation, you guys. I'm sitting here talking to an educated Black man who's a family man that has had experiences, that has an ACEs score, but he's a cycle breaker. Congratulations, because at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with sharing your story. I think that's the reason why I love your podcast, because some of the topics I be cracking up laughing. Let's be clear, but it's everyday things. And I believe you share these things. Even though the podcast is not there anymore, it's always going to be a gem for me because of the topics that you all discussed as a couple, real life experiences, the things again that we normalize that people need to understand that it's actually okay, because 1 in 3 have an ACEs score, and that's what people don't know.
Yeah.
We got ACEs, cut it out. There's nothing wrong with having it. It's the awareness and understanding that's what's going to help you heal. And so I had to introduce the world to you, because look at where we are 5 years later. 5 years later.
No, time has really gone by.
And you can share, he just shared a story, y'all. Now, we didn't talk about the childhood and the right. We didn't do that yet. And that's the interesting thing, because I know sister don't want to go on the show, but I think we need to bring y'all together. I'm gonna be totally honest with you, because I think life needs to see what it looks like. You know what I mean? That even when you do grow up in love, some people grow apart, but some people do grow together. And so this is what cycle breaking is about. This is what manhood is. And you an example to me, poster child. Say what you want to say. We've been bonded not just through our organizations, but through our experiences, because they're relatable. And how many people can bring their communities together and say that? So you got to think about this. This is bigger. Y'all, he's an educator too. So I said educated Black man. What are you doing now? Are you still teaching?
I am hopefully this is my last year in the classroom. I purposely went back in because I was just tired. Um, and I didn't want I guess, the hoopla of administration as far as the time after school, because my kids are in high school. Well, my daughter just graduated also, but they're in high school, and I wanted to make sure I maximize as much time as possible, because making money now means nothing if I don't spend the time with them when I can, because they're going to leave at some point. And I don't, my biggest not scare, my biggest concern at one point was I learned that a lot of older people always say, "Hey, they're gone before you know it. Enjoy the moment, be present." And I took that I took that challenge as to do it every single day. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and if my kids leave, well, when my kids leave, I'm not going to look back and say, "Hey, I did not try to purposely do every day. I did every day because I didn't want to feel like these older people that told me that this time was going to fly by." So to me, I feel like I've been as present as possible. And now my daughter's gone. My son is a junior.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right now the principal of summer school for the school that I work for, and I've been asked to apply for some administration positions. So we'll see. Hopefully, I'll be able to get back in. But I think I'm gonna do this. I think I don't want to put a number on it, because every time I put a number on it,
Yeah.
something allows me to say, "Hey, stop putting your foot in your mouth and just enjoy the journey." So I'm enjoying my stay in education right now. But the biggest thing I can say I got from this, going back in and being in a total different area, I can see what they need. My eyes are a lot better because I've been in so many different districts, from a teacher to administration, so I can see what works and what doesn't. So I feel like I have these ideas that I can create a structure where this school will succeed. So in
Right.
my mind, I feel like everything happens for a reason. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna do my best to not only change the school, but my whole goal is to become, again, the most effective communicator ever,
Yeah.
by giving these kids a perspective that they wouldn't get, because they're not going to meet another teacher with my credentials.
Yep.
They're not, like, period. And I understand that. So it's my job to, like, inspire these kids to do more than their parents can provide, even through stories and their experiences.
Yeah.
Like my job is to push them as much as possible. Like, being in education, you learn that the school building is the safest place for any kid, because that's the only
Agree.
place with as many adults that's there to help kids. So
Yep.
if I'm there and I know how valuable I am, why am I not trying to articulate it so they can be like, "That's what I want to do"? Because even if they don't do it, it's going to be more than what they're exposed to.
Yep.
So my job is to really say it where they can be like, "My life changed when Mr. Lewis planted this seed." And that's all he talks about. Like, I push this. Like, I'm a big advocate for effort. Effort
Mhm.
changes results. And if you don't do it on purpose, you're hoping for an accident. And if you're really important, you'll believe it. Not just me saying it.
No, it's the truth. And I will share with you, I did that too. So being here I think I know when we met, I was moving from Chicago and I came down to
Okay.
Dallas.
No,
Those
so
first 3 years, I was in a public school district. I was in District 1, 2, and 3. I'm gonna say it like that because I talk about it in my book. District 1 was a Black woman principal, first year, intimidated, cut it. Number 2 was a charter school. So I was like, let me try something different. This man had no clue about special education. Cut it. First semester, I couldn't even stay. The last one, the DEI hire, brand new position, train everybody and get rid of me, was it triggered my systemic racism. That's when I left in 2023 to start the podcast. But what I didn't do, or what I missed, and going to do education full time is everything that comes with it, the mentorship, especially the mentorship,
Yeah.
because that's something that as educators and teachers is a job description that we don't need to add. So that's the reason why Be Victorious exists, because that's my teaching platform. That's how I mentor. I can't get rid of my mentorship. They still call me every day, and then I get the great thing. "Oh, I got this job," and it's like, yay! You know what I mean? Good job. Because how else am I going to do that if I'm not in a school building? When I used to have kids come into the school, share their story about their experience of being in high school and what to do and what not to do, and then go out there in life. So that's the reason why Be Victorious is here. Be Victorious Foundation, shall I say, because I could not get rid of that part. I couldn't. There was no way I could leave education and not do that. So I'm going to encourage, to be totally honest with you, as a summer school person and administrator, don't leave. And I'm gonna tell you why, because they need you. First off, we need educated Black men, period. Period, 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 period. You are a mentor, you are a role model, you are all that and then some. They need to see you. They need to continue to see that. And so don't leave just yet. I understand what you were saying because I had this opportunity being mom for my kids. I didn't know how important it was until now because I was high school. So to do it as a mom, oh, it was so fun because I was able to go to the game. So I understand what you're saying, but I want to link it so you can understand those with adverse childhood experiences, those activities is what shape us and that's what changed our life. So I would have my students. That's what I did my dissertation on. I did my dissertation on the ACEs score and the impact on extracurricular activity because extracurricular activity works. It does. When you think about it, you said it 4 times. Not saying it like that, but that extracurricular out activity is what can help us heal. You're not thinking about anything when you're playing basketball. You're not thinking about anything when you're running. That depression is not there. And if it is, we're doing something before so we can, finish or race to the end or do what we need to do to achieve our goal of winning or however we do it. But when I tell you it has such an impact, there's research out there. When we go to that conference, you're going to see it because it is impactful. Trust me when I say you can't leave just yet. Not yet. Give us, because we got work we got to do. We got plans. Don't
So
leave just yet because in the society that we're living in right now, where they're trying to reverse everything, we are needed. I said I wasn't going to go back into education ever, but I still can because contractually in the district you get one contract. As Dr. Torie, I've gotten several. So we can still get in. Let's be clear, you can still get in. We could talk about that a little later, really, because right now I think you need it in the schools. Seriously.
so I want to say this. I want to thank you for that too, because the reason why I wanted to leave education because I thought I could dedicate more of my time into my craft
Mhm.
and I could really sharpen it. But what you don't know about me working on communication, I get my practice at work. You know,
Mm.
if you can convince a kid that they're important enough to change their behavior,
Yep.
it's working. So when you say I'm needed in public education, I'm needed in education, I am, and I know this. And it was more so me just feeling like I want the option of not going to work. And I wanted to become so good at podcasting where I could be like, I don't have to do this. But regardless, when I do become that good, I need to remain. And that was really important. And I appreciate that because it doesn't hurt me by being there. I can take off if I don't need to be there, but me being there is important. And that
Yep.
meant so thank you.
Yep, that physical. That's what they need. I say that because me being mom, I met all of my daughter's friends. See, my seeds act just like me, bad, like personality, the whole nine. And I had the opportunity because I was supporting them to meet their friends. So now their friends are attached. And now their friends are starting to talk. And now the friends are starting to share stories. And I actually uncovered that teacher that they all had that bond with is a racist. She's been pushing the kids. I found this out there, my daughter's senior year, seriously, that the push that the teacher was doing wasn't a push for the students, it was a push for her. You know what I mean? To make herself look good. Like my daughter really almost missed prom because she's in theater, so she's a theater kid. You know how theater is. When during prom season, it was the same weekend as a play competition. So I go to the teacher and I'm like, so we're not doing prom? Oh, that they could, and this is what she did. She said they can bring their dresses and get dressed after the competition. And I had to let the students know, let's be clear, y'all not working for them, they work for y'all. And I hate to say it. Now, my daughter did well and her team competed. She's stage managed. So she's theater, but she does the stage. Let's go. I got my MBA with her. This is the firstborn. So I knew she was going to be a boss. Let's be clear. As soon as I told her that and told the kids that, no shade, the kids actually didn't do well. She did stage production, won superior ratings and did what they had to do. But all the kids could think about is their experience at prom. So, no shade. I hate to say that, but they did not do well. They didn't do well, but they got to experience prom. That's an experience they'll never be able to forget for the rest of their lives. Do I regret it? Nope. You know why? Because why would you think about it when you think about going back? Well, what did you do your senior year for prom? I didn't go. I was competing for the school.
Well, you know, when I hear that, what if somebody wanted to really do that? Like somebody, like everybody don't look at prom the same way.
And the ones that did. I will say that. The ones that went in and competitively competed, they did. They were the ones that went to Indiana State a couple of weeks ago and qualified. They were national qualifiers for the national thespian. So they did. They qualified individually. But it was also uncovered and revered during that trip that it was what the kids said it was racism. I was triggered bad. When I mean triggered bad, I was triggered pretty bad.
I just wondered, like, here, like, why do you think it's racism though?
It's racism because she was number one, she was very passive aggressive, the way she talks to the kids. Number one, the decisions that she made. Um, like say, for example, I'll give you an example. We went to New York. When we went to New York, the parents had to pay to chaperone. They had teacher chaperones, of course, but the parents, because they needed us parents, chaperoned. Day one, I had all the kids. I thought it was fun at first until I realized I had 16 kids. And the teachers, who were a different color, kicked it. This wasn't a trip for them to go and kick it in New York. They were supposed to be chaperoning. And so when I brought it to the attention, because again, they thought I was just a parent. They didn't know I was an educator. They didn't know I knew the rules. They didn't know I knew for when you're on field trips out of town anywhere, it's supposed to be 2 kids or 3 kids max with the chaperone. Like they didn't know I knew those type of things. And when I talked to the teachers, not the teachers, the parents in the past, they were happy to see me because this was what they were doing to the parents in the past. Now, let's be clear, the Black kids gonna go with the Black parents because these are white teachers. But I also saw that these teachers didn't want them at all. I watched it. We were at the museum in New York, the biggest museum out here. And I had to walk up to teachers and say, hey, where's your students? Because I'm stuck here in this huge museum with 12 students. I can't chaperone them at the same time. So can I get y'all to chaperone your kids, please? We also took a walk in Central Park. And when we took the walk in Central Park, I noticed one of the students had to stop and pause. And I was like, hey, y'all, we waited for teachers to get coffee. We waited for teachers to get water. But this young lady is having a seizure.
Wow.
And I'm looking at the teacher who's in charge. And I'm like, so we're not going to stop? Can we stop? Like, I understand we need to walk through Central Park, but can we stop? She's having a seizure. She looked at me and said her mama got her. So me being me, I asked the mother, are you okay? She was like, I'm used to this. This is what they do all the time. This is the reason why I go on my trips. They have stereotyped my child that she can't do nothing without her mom. Like, that's an issue. That has to be an issue. So I started looking it up, asking questions, doing my research, talking to the kids. And that's exactly what it is, because that's normalized behavior. And you got to understand that's why I'm happy that racial discrimination, bullying, community violence, those type of things have been added to the CDC. That's the reason why I stepped out on faith and have been doing this ever since, because we need to address it. Racism is real. It's out here. We just reversed the whole Black Lives Matter. They destroying buildings and things of that nature. The lady, we already know. Let me add the icing to the cake. The icing to the cake for me was when I asked her, the kids were by themselves. In New York, they needed a chaperone. In Indiana, they didn't. I said, so they don't have a chaperone? They walking around? Oh, they don't need one here. I said, oh, so why am I here? Because I thought I was here because first off, as a chaperone, I'm not staying in dorms. So I got my own hotel room. Number two, what's the events? What's the plans? The kids are saying they want to do stuff. Well, there's not too much to do. There's something. Can we at least get together and eat? Well, I'll think about it. I got a text message from one of the students where the student asked the teacher and the teacher told him no. I asked the teacher, she sent me directions to Cracker Barrel. Now, I didn't think Cracker Barrel at first. I thought this is a place where we're going to go. We're going to meet the kids. We're going to congratulate them on the job well done. And we're going to get on our flight and leave. I get to Cracker Barrel, and guess what? They have set the kids. The chaperones have sat in another seat, and there's no seat for me at all. So I'm like, wait, hold on. You mean to tell me I got a text message from you to meet you here? You put in a count and you didn't include me? She looked at me dead in my face and said, oh, I didn't know you was coming. I said, oh, okay. So it's the text message that I have right here that says I'm on my way. You want to look at your text messages and see if you got the message or not? And when she looked at her text message, I said, because what you want me to do is do this angry Black woman thing, and I'm not going to do that for you. So I went to the kids. I said, I'm here for them. I'm not here for y'all. I said, I find it interesting that y'all not even sitting at the table with the Black kids. But okay. The kids said, we didn't even pick to come here. I said, did y'all get what they were supposed to give y'all? Because as representatives of the school, you're supposed to be getting some type of lunch. Oh, I'm taking care of this. I said, you mean the school's taking care of it? Because you're not taking care of anything. This comes from the school. Who chose this place? And the kids said, we don't want to be here. We know about Cracker Barrel. The kids said it. We know about Cracker Barrel and the racist lawsuits that they have. So why would we come here? So it was painted in black and white for me. It just proved the point. Let's be clear. How come you invited me to Cracker Barrel and there's no seat at the table? I was triggered. I walked out. I stayed outside for about 5 minutes, prayed, said, Lord, this is the reason why you have me here. You got me in Bloomington, Indiana. Not helping my daughter. Yes, she did get superior. Congratulations to her. She walked away with a superior rating. Everybody didn't. But it could have been because their chaperones didn't advocate for them and support them like they were supposed to the week that they were there. They were there a whole entire week and they did nothing but sit in a dorm, a hot dorm, and do nothing. But if kids don't know those things, this is exactly what's happening. And that's the reason why we're here on this podcast, to have these conversations. And that's the reason why I'm coming to the podcast so we can continue. Because if that awareness is not out there, how would they know? Especially when those type of things are normalized. And it was normalized to those kids. So that's how they didn't know. I heard from each and every one of those kids. And when I tell you I gave them a book, it's time to talk about ACEs. Oh, they talking about it now. They all a part of Be VicTORIEus Foundation. So let's be clear. I have to. People like us got to keep doing these things because you know why? Cycle breaking is real. Having ACEs is A-okay. Let's be clear. We have it. But it's what you do with your ACEs score. It's what you do with your story that will help you heal. You sharing your story with me a long time ago has helped you heal. It helped bring your family together. It made you a better man. And here we are. I
Uh,
want people to know who you are. Let's be clear. You're my brother and I love you to death. But where can people find you?
you can find me on my website. We have a family website. It's called www.lewissquad.com. One S. You can find me on YouTube. I'm definitely have my own podcast. I'm Growing Man, like we talked about earlier. My wife and I's podcast is still available. It's gonna still be there. I told her that at some point somebody's gonna try to pick it up and they're gonna bring her out of retirement. So hopefully I can get her back out here because it's it. I do want to say this like before we end this or anything.
Mhm.
My wife and I, we did 4 years of podcasting, so it ranged from 25 minutes to maybe 2.5 hours an episode.
Mhm.
And like some people might think that's a lot, but we talked like that every single day. Like we just gave y'all an intentional conversation once a week, but we had we have conversations where we reflect, we talk about how we feel, and I feel like, are you familiar with Malcolm Gladwell?
Mhm.
Malcolm Gladwell is an author who wrote Outliers, and he
Okay.
talks about how majority of the people do this, but it's always these outliers that get to do things, but they're only outliers because they do more than everybody who thinks they're doing the same thing.
Okay.
So me and my wife, that this is the, I can honestly say, I've never met a couple who intentionally converse every day.
Mhm.
Like no matter what, like it's a part of brushing teeth. Like she and I have to communicate. Like, and it's not just how was your day and passing or whatnot. It's like we're interacting. And what I learned that it changed the relationship completely.
Right.
And it made me as a man realize that men don't know there's a different feeling you create where you be like, I don't want to do nothing with anybody else other than this person. And you have to cross the threshold of getting to know your person on purpose,
Mhm.
or you're going to think that that person is still out there. So that person could be out there, but you're still going to have to put the same work you didn't put in this person. And a lot of times we think that this I just don't feel it anymore. You don't feel it anymore because you're not doing anything to create the feeling. At the beginning, it's all new and hunky dory. But once you start talking to your person, like you learn what they like, what they don't like, and you try to protect them in a way where you care about them. Like if they don't like this, you don't do it on purpose to make them mad. Like when you do that, you become more vulnerable because you want to protect this person. When
Right.
you're protecting the person over you, you create a different relationship. And a lot of times we're selfish thinking we need these bright lights to happen for us to feel like this is our person. Whoever your person is, you have to put work that you probably have not seen for you to find the happiness in a relationship.
And
But
there's power in that. And those with you doing that for 4 years, stop saying that it ends when it's actually a resource that can
absolutely, it is
as a
completely.
tool. So tell us about it so people can find out where to find this valuable resource.
Well, yes. I mean, you can look me up on YouTube. Look us up on YouTube, LewisSquad.com, Lewis Squad. Me and my wife's podcast is called Doing Too Much. Um, again, we got 4 years of some great, and you know what? If you are really interested in watching us grow, if you go back to the first season,
Yep.
maybe the second, you can hear how our tone and
Yep.
how sharp our words are when we're addressing each other, meaning that we're not the happiest at the moment. You can see how uh, typically we learned about triggers. It's like if somebody trigger you, you respond in a way that may not be the nicest, but you can actually hear it. So
I also want to share the cohesion. Y'all started like this, and then eventually y'all ended closer together
oh yes,
on the
it,
couch. Yeah.
oh yeah.
So again, just for y'all that don't know, I watch it, and those are small, subtle things that people may not pay attention to, but I did, and that's because I think you guys are vested not just in each other, but invested in growth, and that's what we need cycle breakers to do. So I want you guys to know this cycle breaker series is going to be real, and we're going to have people like this on the show. You're going to see more of me and John. Let's be clear, because I got some ideas from this podcast that we need to do. But you all know who I am. I'm Dr. Torie. You can find me everywhere. And we have another episode under wraps. Thank you guys again for tuning in, and we will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.